And we're live. You're tuned into AIA Live. I'm your host, Charlie Spies. Today we're going to be talking with a number of interesting guests about a number of interesting topics. We have in the studio with us today, Greg. I've never attempted to pronounce this last name because I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's either Julie or July. I'm going to go with July, J-U-L-Y. So Greg July Barbados is in the studio with us. We also have Amy Taylor. Amy is from Los Angeles, and Amy is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful women in my erotic dreams. That is for sure. And she's going to talk all about her personal life and her job as a companion in the adult entertainment industry. So without much further ado, we're going to get straight into it. The first part of the show, we'll be talking about the association, how it got started. We'll talk a bit about the AIA Live, and then we will go on to our interview with Amy, which is the highlight of this evening. Greg has joined us as an AIA member hailing from Barbados. Greg was asked by me to submit a number of questions along with a number of other people for the show, and his questions were so poignant, I decided it was best to bring Greg onto the show. And let me just bring him up so the audience can take a peep at Greg. Oh, just one second. Okay, there you are, Greg. Greg, the whole world can see you. You're now a superstar, okay?
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Okay, Greg, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and taking the time out to create some questions for us as well about the show. I'm going to start by saying a bit about the association. I have been involved in the adult entertainment industry for about 33 years. By making that confession, it kind of gives you a hint of how old I am, and that's not good. But I started off in Los Angeles as a male stripper and escort way back in the early days, and that was for about 3 years before I moved on to Germany, where I spent another 4 years in the industry, and then I moved on to Switzerland, where I spent 6 years. After that was Eastern Europe. Now, this is where I really got my experience in. This is where it was hardcore. I worked for a Russian organization, and believe you me, every imaginable problem that one could think of in the industry, I experienced firsthand when I was in Eastern Europe. I was between Moscow and Kiev, including places like Budapest and Czech Republic, Romania, Estonia, Lithuania. This organization had strip clubs, escort agencies, they had casinos, villas in the countryside, villas in the forest. And they had over 28,000 girls working with them across Eastern Europe. So that gives you a sense of the scale of the operation. And I was in charge of all the adult entertainment. And it was then that I got the idea that sometime in my tenure in this industry, that I was going to start an organization, an umbrella organization, to look at the problems that exist, some of the problems that I encountered firsthand and others that I heard about, to address these problems by finding solutions, sustainable solutions, to either mitigate or ameliorate the impact of these problems on the people in the industry, particularly the professionals. Adult Industry Association is an international organization based in Barbados, and it is represented by chapters around the world. Every country in the world is a chapter, and each chapter will have, in short order, a manager. We will have affiliates around the world helping us to promote membership. And so as not to preempt any questions that Greg has for me, I'm going to allow Greg to come in and say his bit. Greg, what are some of the questions you have for me before? Because I can go on all day about myself, the association, and we have to hurry up and get to Amy as well. She's waiting in the wings to have a chat with us, and I don't want to keep waiting that long. Let's hear some of the questions you have for me.
Okay, so my first question was, what is the association AIA? But I think you touched on that already. So we're going to move on to the second question. So what personal, and this is specifically speaking, what personal experiences gave you the inclination to start the association?
There were many experiences. One that stands out was when I was in Eastern Europe. I was working with a number of ladies they were from Albania, and they were actually trafficked by the Albanian mafia into that part of Eastern Europe. And when I found out that they were trafficked, I assisted them in repatriating to their home country, and that made me a marked man. To this day, I will never go back to that part of Eastern Europe because I'm not sure what they would do, knowing that I assisted those girls in getting back home. And that was the point at which I knew I was going to do something, because that crossed the line for me. I mean, when I was in Barbados growing up as a kid, going to church every Sunday, little did I know there was something called a sex industry, and I had we had so many Christian values back then. Surprisingly enough, for me to hear me say this, but those Christian values and those moral values I had back then, I would say, put me in good stead in the industry, because there are certain lines beyond which I would never cross in this industry, and that was one of them. By the way, Amy is in the background waiting to have a chat with Amy. If you at any point would like to join in with any questions, please feel free, and I'll bring you up on the screen. But no, actually, I'll have to bring you up. I'm just going to bring you up for 1 minute, and so that you can join us. Okay. Okay. Let's bring Amy into the equation here.
Hey.
I saw you fixing your. You look lovely, Amy. You're on the camera, and you can talk to the world. Okay, Amy, thank you very much for joining us. I thought it best to bring you in at this point because I don't want to ramble on and you're waiting. And you may have questions or even comments or suggestions that would be useful to the dialogue here, and you're most welcome. So I was just talking about my upbringing in Barbados, which put me in good stead in the industry because there were always lines that I would never cross, and that was one of them. So getting back to the question, what are the experiences? That was the highlight of my experiences. And of course, as I worked in the industry, I came into contact with individuals who told me of problems they were having, whether it's trafficking or being raped or beaten or forced into prostitution. I also got to know about child prostitution in places like Brazil and India, third hand from blogs and people who are in the industry. And so I knew this was going to be an eventuality. And today I'm proud to say that the association was launched back in 2018, and amidst lots of struggle, and we're here today and on the precipice of becoming one of the major influencers in the industry. Amy, is there any question you would like to ask before I continue?
I do. So did the governments of these countries care at all, or did you find they sort of were uninterested in, is it too big of a problem for them to even address?
Yes, that was back in the 80s, and that was when the mafia had a lot of dominance in the marketplace. I have actually seen mafia fractions have shootouts, and people were killed, maimed, and police looked at it and walked away. That was the point in time when they were too strong. And also the mafia had their hands in everything. They owned the church, they owned shares in the insurance company. So what could you do with them, So it was very difficult. And who was I back then to challenge them? I couldn't wait to get out. As a matter of fact, I became a victim of sorts of trafficking because they took my passport under the pretense that they were going to get me naturalized in Eastern Europe so that I would have the right to live and work there legally. And this went on for over 6 months until I found out through an intermediary that they never intended to give me my passport back. It took 6 months to get my passport back at a cost of about $10,000 US to get it back through the back door for me to leave Eastern Europe. And that is how I left, actually. So I had a taste. Yes, go ahead.
Why do you think that sort of psychological prison is so prevalent? You were not one who was going to be controlled, which I applaud. Good job.
Yeah.
But the 28,000 women, many of whom, did you find when you wanted to help them be more autonomous and not be controlled? I've heard, and what I've seen in America, is that some of them don't even know how to think about being free from the crushing abuses of traffickers and coercers. That it's sort of a psychological prison that is very difficult to fight, especially in the cases of a lot of young women.
In Eastern Europe, the circumstances are obviously different for them because their culture is a lot different. A lot of these girls back then, and perhaps still now, they have evolved out of poverty, and they're culturally, they're taught either inherently or by society that their beauty is their way out, their escape, and they kind of accept whatever happens to them. And it's that is going to take someone with a higher pay grade than I to answer. It's just what it is. I couldn't understand. And also, too, why did they have to traffic girls when the girls were quite willing to work in the adult entertainment industry as a way of getting out of poverty in the first place? So why traffic them? It didn't make any sense to me. And I remember one of the conditions that I had set when I first went to Eastern Europe. I landed in a place called Riga in Latvia, because I'd heard that is where the most beautiful ladies were in Eastern Europe. So I turned up in Latvia and fell in love with the place because they were, could not believe how gorgeous they were. And they were all over the place. And I decided I was going to stay in Riga and set up an agency. And little did I know that you were supposed to go to one of the mafia fractions and have a sit-down conversation to determine what you're going to pay them. Whether you're opening an escort agency or a flower shop or a nanny agency, it didn't matter. You had to pay. Now, I'm thinking that once I opened my business, my agency, they would come to me and have a chat, but they never did. So this went on for about 6 months. And one day I got a knock on the door it was a mafia boss and about 3 or 4 of his bodyguards. And at that time, you could tell who the bosses were and who the security guards were, and they all had Uzi guns as well, protruding out from under the jackets. And they came to me and said, and he was laughing. I would never forget the roar of that laughter when he said, Charlie, you've got big balls. You have got big balls. You don't belong to any of us. I said, I was waiting for someone to come to me. Anyway, so they said, well, from now onwards, you belong to us, and we want you to run our operation. And I said to him, well, if I do it, I would like to run it the way I run mine. I had 28 people in my organization at the time, and I was catering to the foreigners from the United States, Canada. At that time, the Iron Curtain had just come down, and there was a lot of investment going into Eastern Europe. So there were lots of foreign investors going into Eastern Europe. And I said I would want to run it the way I run mine, no forcing the girls. They would actually drive the street, see a pretty girl, take her by the scruff of the hair, take her to her family, give the mother $5,000 or $10,000. Say, okay, now she works with us. This was the recruitment process, and I changed all of that. This is it sounds a bit hard, but this is exactly what it was, and I changed all of that. And we were making, of course, a considerable amount of a lot more money than they did before because now they had the benefit of Western thinking, Western strategy, and they did not want to let me go. And that is how I got, coiled up in this human trafficking thing myself. But like you said, Amy, I'm not one to be controlled, and I would find a way out. And unfortunately, the others, don't have the same will, I suppose. Greg, what are the other questions? Let's move it along there. You have about quite a few questions, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we had a chat a night. This was the night that I asked you what was the deal with you and stuff, and you gave me a card and you told me, well, go on and sign up for the association. And then you told me there was a difference between being a premium member and being a supporter. Could you explain that for the audience?
Okay. In any network, you need to have a free entry level for subscribers, and that for us is the basic subscriber. It's free of charge to register as a basic member. but that does not allow you to take advantage of the promotional features of the association or of the platform. You can only subscribe and connect with other members and, of course, support. The premium member, which is $5 per month or $50 a year, that allows you access to all of the premium features, including uploading pictures, uploading videos, uploading blogs, and a plethora of wonderful features that enable you to better promote your business, your product, or your service. So it behoves you to actually become a premium member. If you're a serious player in the industry, you want to become a premium member to be able to use those premium services. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Greg. What is your next question?
Okay, so you spoke about the challenges you had in Europe and stuff. What challenges did you face while setting up the organization?
Money. I'm waiting for the smile on Amy's face. Money. It was very difficult to find investors at that early stage to help me with the association. So I had then to fund it myself. And it as you know, online presence of any sort will cost. And if you're doing an umbrella organization globally, of course, there's a horrendous cost. That was the major challenge. Also, the second challenge was getting people to take me seriously. People in the industry they do not trust very easily. Amy she's going to nod her head very shortly. They don't trust. And
it's because of what happens, right?
Of course.
Terrible, but
And they all thought, well, here comes Charlie Spice trying to make money again off the backs of all these people in the industry. Because although the objectives are very virtuous and totally legit, it can be a challenge to get people to accept that there's nothing sinister about what you're doing, and that you mean well, and you're going to carry through. So that was a big challenge. Another challenge was understanding how to navigate the legislation in various countries, particularly the United States. And this is something that Amy and I will talk about when we have our discussion, because in the United States, the law has become so tricky in terms of representing, promoting, or assisting people in the industry. And that was also another major challenge. So I needed to find support from legal minds. And today I'm proud to say that we have two international attorneys on our team, and they're there to give us advice and make sure that we keep out of trouble. Although I have to admit that there are still some things we are yet to do to take us fully out of the hot water, because it's such a minefield. Amy, is there anything you would like to jump in with here? I'm sure there's something you might want to say about this part of it.
I think the social media landscape is pretty crowded. I don't know what your future plans are to get that critical mass. I've been at my little business for almost 2 decades, and until you reach a tipping point, it's pretty hard, like you said, to be taken seriously. So I don't know if you have like cross-channel social media plans or, placement with heavy hitters that help you get attention, because there's some players in our industry in the U.S. that have been at this for almost 30 years, and
Yes.
sort of trying to get eyeballs that they've already been working getting is not an easy task, nor a cheap one, nor a quick one, right? So I don't know what your future plans are to keep that train moving.
The short-term plans for the association, we are now at a point where people are taking us seriously. We are at the point where organizations and individuals are making offers to us. I'll give you a classic example. I spoke out very heavily against the proliferation of underage sexual activity in Barbados a few months ago, and that came to the attention of the United Nations. I warned the government about, if they do not stem this activity, we're going to be the focus of pedophiles around the world, knowing that there's a lot of underage sex in Barbados. Then suddenly now we become targeted and we become a destination for pedophiles. Also, we're going to be looking at the possibility of child prostitution as well. And again, that will be another challenge for the association to deal with. So that came to the attention of the United Nations, and I had discussions with individuals here who have invited me to submit grant proposals or proposals for grant funding. And this is going to be, this is a welcome opportunity for us. And I've now identified an individual who will create this proposal for me. Major sponsors have already expressed an interest. I have been offered the opportunity for major funding or sponsorship once we reach a certain target or critical mass of 5,000. So yes, Amy, people and organizations are now taking it seriously, and we're on the threshold of being able to take on board some of those players, because those players come with a major cost as well. And we're happy. Yeah, oh yeah, we're going to jump all over that once it's in place.
I
yes.
see Vasilios' question.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was so engrossed in the conversation, I forgot we had a chat room. Okay, yes, Vasilios, actually, I know Vasilios. He is from Greece, and Vasilios has just applied to become chapter manager for Greece, and it's been approved, and he's very enthusiastic, and I think he's going to do extremely well in that part of the world. Now, what is Vasilios saying to us, by the way? Okay, he's just reaffirming that he's going to do his best to support us. And okay, well, let's continue until there's a direct question. Let's roll it along, Greg. What is the next question on your list there?
Right. So you touched on my next question a bit. You were talking about some short-term goals and stuff. So what are some longer term goals that you've set for the association and you'd like to achieve by a certain time frame?
Okay, well, let's say 2 to 3 years down the line, I would like to see between 100 to 500,000 members in our association. If every person in the industry, whether you are a business owner, a professional, or a consumer, if every one of those individuals took the time to read and understand what we're trying to achieve, they will all support, because it makes sense what we're talking about. And we have the potential to become one of the largest organized or networks in the adult entertainment industry. So supposing that within 3 years we can have 100 to 500,000 members is not unrealistic. We could probably have a few million in that time frame. But that is one of the goals that I have within the next 2 to 3 years. The next goal that I have is to have enough funding in place and enough resources in place to achieve our objectives and to be able to make a difference. We had an example recently of, well, we have quite a few complaints coming in because we've launched a complaints department, and we've taken the plunge to contact the person against whom the complaint is made, or the organization. And I would like to think that within 3 years, we have the financial resources that if we felt a need to support the legal action of a complainant in our network, that we can offer support. I would like to think that if someone needed support financially for whatever reason that made sense and was justified, then we could offer support. These are some of the long-term goals I would like to think that we will have within 2 to 3 years.
Okay, good to know.
Next question.
To touch on Joseph, he has asked, how can one become a member? I think that's an important question for people in order to join and to support the association. How can one become a member?
That's the easiest question so far. Simply go to our website, which is adultindustryassociation.org, and click on the sign up link or join link, and you're away. It's very simple. Like I said before, if you want to sign up just to support us, you can sign up free of charge, or you can become a premium member if you are an active stakeholder in the industry, and that is at a cost of $5 per month or $50 per year. Okay, let's turn the attention to Amy for a minute. Amy, you've obviously seen our website, and now you've had a chance to. This is the first time we've actually spoken. We've actually chatted online and messaged each other, but this is the first time. You've had now a chance to see me and talk and hear what I'm saying. What are your feelings now about what we're trying to achieve from this very brief encounter with myself?
I think I think it's really important. So in the U.S., where I am, we've got sex workers outreach projects, SWAP. There are chapters all over the U.S. It's pretty decentralized.
Yes.
My limited exposure to some of them, there's a lot of drama, but they're trying to do good work, and they often do really important work. I think there's not as much international because the laws differ so wildly from country to country.
Yes.
The U.S. seems to be having a swing toward wanting us to be hurt and die even more than before with these new SESTA FOSTA laws that we've passed in this country that are an actual disaster. My thoughts on you, I'd like to understand, you say adult industry, and that word for me encompasses companions, cam girls, porn, dominatrixes, strippers. That means a lot of people, and I'm assuming you want to cover all of them, or are you sticking more to sex workers, which would probably not include most strippers? You'd have to ask them, but they tend to not think of themselves as sex workers.
Very good point you're making. Very good point you're making.
Adult industry.
Okay, I've used the phrase sex and adult entertainment industry throughout the website because the intention is to encompass all of the above: sex workers, prostitutes, companions, strippers, and also we want to partner with existing cooperatives and unions and associations out there, because like you said, there are many of them out there, but they're all parochial or they're provincial and they deal with particular sectors, where I want to bring them all together under one umbrella organization. And that speaks to one of the questions that Greg was asking: what challenges am I having? I'm having a challenge from other existing networks, seeing the association as a threat, as a challenge. And I'm hoping that we can move beyond that, because we're not. We want to partner with you. And, at the end of the day, we compete for the same subscribers, of course. We compete, I suppose, with the same sponsors and other supporters. But at the end of the day, we have to work together. And I think that when they take a serious look at what we're trying to achieve, they will see the synergy and the need to partner with us, because we want to partner with them. And getting back to the specific question you asked, we want to all professionals in the adult entertainment industry, all business owners, and all consumers as well. And I'm going to stress on consumers for a minute, Amy, because people said to me, why are you involving consumers? Well, the reality of this industry is that, and particularly as it relates to Adult Industry Association, people don't really give a damn about who gets raped. I'm sorry to say that, but this is the reality. They don't give a damn about who gets robbed,
You went there.
unless it's
you
them.
Went there.
Yes, because it's them, and because it's someone that they're related to or close to. Other than that, they don't care. The first thought when they come to our website is, how can we make money from this association? This is sad to say, but this is true. So it was important for us to include consumers, because if we have a network of millions of consumers who are members, then that incentivizes professionals and business owners to get on board. And then once they see what we're trying to do, we can eventually rope them into the concept of, we're here to address problems as well, not just to help you make money and to make more contact. And that is a sad reality. So we have decided strategically to include consumers as part of our membership base for that purpose, as well as they too become victims of all types of criminality and other human rights violations. So we need to include them if we're going to be addressing problems that exist as a result of this industry's existence.
For those who maybe don't have funds or are unwilling to be as out in the open as we here are, I think, would you agree that the Adult Industry Association still has value for a sense of community, a place that people can find out that they're not alone, they have a right to love themselves and exist, even if they're a consumer or worker in our industry. I think I understand that you want the dollars to fight the fight, but I think community is also important, because my experience has been that when people are in the closet and they feel shame because the world's telling them they're garbage for either being a consumer or a worker in the adult industry, that a lot of bad stuff happens psychologically. And that has repercussions in the real world, right? And I think feeling isolated and closeted is really damaging in very real ways.
Absolutely. And this is why we encourage people to sign up, even if they want to use an alias, because not everybody is willing to go up front. And so you can sign up anonymously and not be afraid. You don't even have to put your own picture. You can put a picture of your cat or your dog. You can still be part of our movement here. So absolutely right. And I'll tell you something, Amy and Greg, I don't have all the answers. I do not have all the answers. And I also questioned, along with other people, questioning whether or not I was best suited to run this organization or to form this organization. I too questioned myself. Am I enough? Am I good enough for this? Do I have enough experience? Is it right for me to be doing it? Should someone else be doing it? But you know what? In the absence of someone else doing it, here I am, and you're stuck with me. Let's work together. I don't have all the answers, but I'm recruiting a team of people who can help me find the solutions. And I know the questions that you were asking, or you're going to be asking. So I'm going to touch on some of those things, Greg, and you can jump in at any point in time.
That's fine.
One of the very powerful tools of the association is the complaints department. If we do not have a way of collating complaints, how in heaven's name are we going to address them? So we needed to find a solution to get people to bring the complaints to us. Can we help or solve every problem in the street? No, we can't, but we need to know what the problems are, so we can certainly inform others about the problem so that they can be forewarned. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. We also we're now at the point where people are taking the complaints department seriously. We've had about 200 complaints in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so it's happening. Someone said to me, "But you're not a lawyer. You're not the police. Why should they come to you?" If someone came to us with a complaint about being raped, the first thing we would ask them is, "Have you gone to the police?" But you would or would not be surprised. I can't wait for Amy to nod to this as well. How many women get sexually abused, or men, and they are afraid to go to the police? They probably will never go to the police because they're afraid of being victimized twice. Because after telling your complaint to the police and then finding out that you're engaged in an activity which is considered by that country illegal, then you are likely to be arrested and maybe deported. So many of them will come to us without going to the police, and we will, of course, advise them to, if the situation calls for that. Or we may put our heads together and decide the best course of action to take in that particular case. Any comments to that before I continue, Amy?
Yeah, that's true. I was sexually assaulted by the police. That's something I've never told anybody. Yeah, wow. I've been sexually assaulted by the police. The guy who did it is now retired with honors, and I'm sure the taxpayers of his county would be pleased to know that they spend taxpayer money so that he could sexually assault and then jail young women, which he did.
Wow.
To tons and tons. Gleefully, irreverently, and proudly he did. To me too. I told the female officer, and she told me to hush and covered up because they cover up for each other, and they didn't give a shit about me. And nobody would believe it if I told them on paper, because they would just be called a liar. So there was nobody to go to for help. There was nobody who would believe me, and I, to this day, would be called. So it doesn't matter when you are a throwaway person and they are of the badge and the uniform and respected, and there's authority bias and everyone loves them. You don't win. You don't win, not even if you have money.
Let me say that I appreciate you coming out and saying this, and the courage that it obviously takes to do something like that. And how wonderful would it be if you had an organization that was massive with millions of members, lots of resources, and contact with the legislators, contact with the police departments, that we can put pressure on the authorities to do something about that. Because very often when this happens, you feel. Yes, go ahead.
If there had been money, if there had been someone who could have gone to the press and played hardball back,
Yes.
if there had been somebody who would have told me, be stronger, we can fight back, you're not alone and not weak, and yeah, then everything would have been different for me. My life since would have been different.
When I tell people that we want to establish strategic, sustainable partnerships with the police department, immigration departments, and other government agencies, people panic. Why do you want to partner with the police? Well, the answer is very simple. The answer is very simple. We need to know what they're thinking so that we can inform our people. We need to inform them about what our people are thinking. And in such instances, we would be better empowered to do something about it by having the connections with the police department. There's always someone above someone else.
Many of them are quite good. Many police. So my life was changed irrevocably by the police, and I will suffer forever because of what they did to me. My life was also saved by police. Many of them are good. Many of them do want to help adult industry workers. Their hands are often tied in being able to, but the owner of a website tried to murder me in 2010, and it was the police who saved my life.
Wow.
It was somebody who wanted to make money off of me and sleep with me, and I said no to both of those things. And then it's a big website, theeroticreview.com. The former owner tried to have me killed, and it was the police in Phoenix who saved my life. So police are a good partner too, because they're not all bad. They're humans just like us, and some are not great, and there are many in the U.S. that support decriminalization. Maybe they can't do it so as openly, but they realize the current system is a shit show, and they would like things to be different. So just like any group of people, they are not a monolith, and partnering with them probably is complex, and good luck to you, but they're not all evil either. Neither is anybody, right?
Absolutely right. At this point, let me just take a peep at the chat room. And for
that's one thing I was about to tell you.
Okay, well,
Vasilios had a question for a while.
Okay, no problem. We'll get to that question. But Greg, I want to say the reason why I'm directing most of the questions to Amy is because Amy is a wealth of knowledge and information about this industry, as we have just seen. And but feel free at any point to jump in if you have a question for myself or for Amy. So don't feel overshadowed there, okay? And so what is the question in the studio, in the chat room there?
So Vasilios was saying, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, he said in Greece, prostitution is legal, but in many ways they abuse that, and the girls are getting abused from the brothel owners, and they have a lot of girls from Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Albania, and Russia. I was thinking, Charlie, how can I be a support to these girls to help them out to get justice?
Okay, well, good question. First of all, you need to make yourself known to them, make the association known to them, invite them to become members, and we have to listen to what their problems are. We have to listen to them, and by doing so, we will then be in a better position to discuss it with the complaints committee and make a decision the best way to handle it. But first, we have to get them on board as members, and if they too were to understand what the association is about and is willing to do for them, what it stands for, I have no doubt that they will join, considering that they're having these issues in the industry. Okay, there were other people in the studio, in the chat room as well. But Amy, we're going to have our discussion about your life and your work, but it was very important to bring you in because you have so much to say that is so important to what we're doing. And I can't wait to have the opportunity to sit with you one-on-one and talk about how you can fit into this or management team. So I'm going to try very hard to get a lot of money on board so we can afford you. But we will talk. We will certainly talk. But anyway, let's go to the next question, and then we will get to Amy's interview, because the world is waiting to hear all about Amy's life and lifestyle and her wonderful existence in this world. What is the next question, Greg? We have another 2 minutes for questions.
Okay, so quickly, what is the purpose of ensuring that you are ID verified on the association, in the association?
Okay, you like to ask the difficult ones, don't you? Okay. The ID verification service is one of the other powerful tools of the association. We want to encourage everyone to become verified, and by doing so, they will show the association management team their passport or driver's license, along with their actual image, which is on the website. So we can say, yes, that person is actually John Smith or Mary Smith. And this, if everyone becomes verified, it starts to become a safer space for work and for business, because a person who is verified is, let me say this very cautiously, is less likely to commit an offense. I'm not saying they will not, but you can have more confidence in someone who is verified. Also, it increases your credibility. If people had a choice, or a person had a choice of taking a booking from John Smith, who is verified, as opposed to Igor, who's not, from Russia, I think she'll take the booking from John Smith because he's verified. Also, by having people become verified, when it becomes the norm in the industry, it puts us in a better position to support the investigations of police departments around the world, when we can say to them, well, yes, we know who that person really is. Now, it is important for people to maintain anonymity while being verified. So we allow you to still use your alias on the site, but we know that John, which is his alias, is really Patrick. So we can cross-reference if need be, and you can still remain anonymous on the website, which is important to many people. So the concept of being verified, it speaks for itself in terms of making the industry a lot more secure. It will by no means eradicate problems. A verified person may still commit crime against a member or someone who's not a member. So we do not guarantee that if you're verified by us, that you will be safe from all problems. All it means is that we will have a better handle on trying to minimize the incidence of criminality in the industry. Okay, all right, I'm going to wrap this part up, this question and answer part about the association, because on other shows, we can continue to talk about it, because I want to get to our discussion with Amy. And when I do so, Greg, I'm going to take you back into the studio, and it will just be a one-on-one. But I would like to take this opportunity to say to the audience, those who just joined us, that you're tuned into AIA Live, which is a weekly talk show produced by Adult Industry Association. I'm your host, Charlie Spice. In the studio with us is Greg from Barbados, Amy from California, and we're going to talk very shortly with Amy about her work as a companion, and the highs and the lows, the good and the bad of that, and we get into the nitty-gritty. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Amy for coming on board, sharing some of her thoughts on the association and the industry and what we are about to discuss. So, Greg, I'm going to take you down for a minute, and don't be upset. You'll come back in on another show. All right, we'll talk again soon.
That's fine.
Greg, thank you very much for coming on board.
No problem. No problem.
Stay in the because I may bring you back up if you want to say something to us. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you very soon. All right. Take care. Bye for now. Okay. Let's. Okay, Amy, I think I took you down as well. Let's take you back. Oh, there you go. Now let me find what I had done before our interview. I had sent out an appeal to our audience and our members to pose some questions for me to ask you on the screen as well when you're on the show. So you're in the hot seat and in the spotlight. And okay. So Amy, why don't I allow you to introduce yourself for a few moments, and we're gonna get right into those questions. Tell me all about you, Amy.
I'm Amy Taylor, and you can see more about me at amytaylor.com, or I'm on Twitter, AmyTaylor1. I'm on Instagram, AmyTaylorLA, because that's where I live. And I live in Southern California, like I said, but I travel all over, so I'm gone maybe half the time, all over the world with whoever doing whatever. I've been a companion for over a decade, on and off, taking time off to do other things. I started when I was first in graduate school in Los Angeles. Yeah. And I do other things too. I've modeled, I've done all the standard Playboy, FHM, Maxim magazines. And I'm also a flight instructor, teach people how to fly planes. So I have hobbies and interests, but my main gig is that I'm a companion to a few gentlemen. Mainly spend my time with one person now. That's kind of how it goes when you've been at it for a while. Yes, but and that's how I like to live. And no religion or government or anti-group is going to tell me that it's terrible, because here I am and it's not.
You are a woman after my own heart, Amy. A woman after my own heart. I had asked a number of people to pull some questions for me, and I'm going to share these questions with you. Kirk from the United Kingdom weighed in, and he said to me, he wants Amy to answer this question. What do you like doing in your spare time?
So like I said, I fly planes. I also ski quite a bit right now, a lot because it's winter. I like to play the piano. I like to cook. I have a little dog and I hang out a lot with him. I am lucky to still be close to my family. They're not a huge fan of my lifestyle choices, but they love me. So I do get to see my nieces and nephews and family. That's lucky. A lot of women in my business are estranged from their family and don't have that in their lives. And it's unfair and tragic. And it causes a lot of harm, right?
You can. So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just a pretty, stay fit, do yoga, typical, just a normal chick.
You cannot tell us that you have a dog and not tell us the name of your dog and what type of dog. And I hope your dog is close by as well.
He's right here. Nigel, come here. Come here, buddy. Since you asked.
Of course.
That's Nigel.
Wow. Hello, Nigel. Hello, Nigel. I'm actually getting a dog.
No. No barking.
That's okay. Not a problem. Not a problem.
So,
not a problem.
That's Nigel. He's the main man in my life.
I'm planning to get a dog myself, actually. So when I do, I'll let you know.
You should.
Right. I will. Don't you worry. It's happening. It's going to happen. All right. The next question that Kirk from London is asking is, who is your celebrity crush?
I always thought Eric Bana was very good looking. I like Idris Elba.
Yeah.
I like, he's not really a celebrity, but I think Nathaniel Rothschild is very interesting. Google him. He's not really a celebrity. He's just a powerful person who's, and then a lot of them are like sciencey nerds. Like I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is rad. He's just brilliant, and his use of language is epic. And I am very attracted to brilliance. I think smart people are pretty cool. So,
this question, along with your answer, this has prompted another comment or question from me, and that is, when you work in the adult entertainment industry as a companion in your case, or as a stripper in another person's case, or a sex worker in another person's case, you become a bit desensitized to relationships, you don't trust so much, because most of the people you interact with are supposedly happily married, have girlfriends, but yet they're spending more money with you than they spend with their wives. How do you ever, can we mainstream? Can people in this industry truly mainstream?
I have a lot of retired girlfriends who are just fine. They're lawyers, business owners, wives, mothers, and they're fine years later. A couple of them married clients. One of those, it's an open marriage, so they understand each other's needs, and they are very happy. They're going on a decade now. They've got kids. They're fine. It works for them. Maybe wouldn't for you or me, but some are with somebody who doesn't know what they used to do. That's their choice, to just leave it in the past and not even talk about it. That's an interesting choice, but it works for some. I think, I've obviously seen a lot of infidelity. What do I think about that? When I see the pain it causes some wives, as I've seen, they've called me a couple times. It doesn't feel good. I'm a human. I feel partially responsible for what I put out in the world, like we all should if we have empathy, and that's not great. That said, I'm not sure the idea that one person can be the source of all your happiness for 50, 60, 70 years is realistic. So I don't know how to reconcile those two things of what I sort of wish was possible from fantasy and what we really are as humans. That sometimes another new person is exciting. It is. I've struggled with monogamy myself. I have. And so there's what we wish we were and there's what we are. And I am most interested, and why I'm a supporter of AIA is that I want the world to be safer and result in less death and harm in the world that we live in, even if it's imperfect, even if I don't always like it. I don't want it to kill and hurt workers or customers.
Absolutely.
And right now it is. So
Absolutely.
Relationships.
Yeah.
I'm interested in less death, really, right now for my industry. We could talk about what relationships should be also later, right?
Well, the last question that Kurt had was, are you single? Yes, she's single, but forget about it. Don't even give it a try, Kirk. So let's move on to Bob now. Bob from Toronto, Canada. Bob wants to know, what has been your best and worst appointment?
The best are a client of mine likes to fly by private jet to a place called Amangiri. Look it up. It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And we go for spa treatments for several days. It's stunning. And of course, private jets are awesome. I'm going to really miss that when I'm retired, because that's not my life, that's theirs. And it's just relaxing, and he's wonderful. And I'm just very lucky. The worst, probably the night I got arrested. That night sucked. I mean, he was really nice until he wasn't. He was great. I thought I had met a wonderful new person who I could hang out with and who would help take care of me, and I could go to school and have a nice friend. And instead I got thrown on the floor and a gun put to my head, and it changed my future possibilities for my life forever, and still does every day. And so that was the worst.
It's, you've been through a lot in this industry. You've shared some of what you've been through with us, but it would appear on the surface that you are unscathed by this. I mean, I'm
sure. I could say the same to you, sir.
I'm sorry?
I could say the same to you.
Oh God, I've had some bad ones as well. But I think we are blessed. We're lucky that, because not everyone in this industry, you can never come out of these bad experiences totally unscathed. It will affect you for the rest of your life. But we are fortunate in that we are able to take control and carry on and treat them as learning curves in our lives, and be enabled by them and to be strengthened by them. And so you're blessed, and I'm extremely happy, to know this about you. And you're actually doing a lot for me. When you tell me some of these you've been through, I know I'm not alone. So, hey, okay.
When you stay in the closet, the world can fill that vacuum with their own stories, and they can make you a monster or a victim or a fantasy. And I'm real. You're real. I want our humanity to show, because I think it's a lot harder to hate us, adult industry workers, when
Yeah.
when you see us as humans, flesh and blood, scathed,
Yeah.
flawed, happy,
Yeah.
sad, just like everyone else. I want the world to see our humanity. I really do, because the closet is where they harm us when we stay in there.
But doesn't it really piss you off when it's difficult to get people to accept you as a person? They see you as the personality. They see you as the I don't know, whatever, you know. I mean,
Sure.
it really, that has always been a challenge for me. But you know, I got to realize I love me. I'm happy with me. To hell with you. If you got a problem, aside, you know.
Yes, you have to.
Of course, absolutely, absolutely. The next question from Bob, who is hailing from Toronto, Canada, is: how did you choose your companion name?
I was very in love with a boy whose last name was Taylor, and I always liked his name, so I stole it. And Amy began with A, so it's good in an alphabetical list, shows up first. When I started, I was 28, which was a little bit younger than most, so I wanted a youthful sounding name. Amy kind of sounded youthful. And then it's hard to misspell Amy Taylor. There's probably some other ways to spell it, but not common. So it's easy to remember, easy to spell, it's short, the URL was available. I don't think it ethnically matches me. I'm Italian and Hungarian. I don't think Amy Taylor really conjures up my ethnicity, but what's done is done now. Now it's my name. It doesn't really matter. So,
well, it suits you fine. Suits you fine. Okay, Bob's last question is: what's your biggest pet peeve in this business?
Getting murdered like girls do every day.
Yeah,
No, the low bar. We try so hard to be legitimized, and in my country we still get beaten back, and I sometimes in the dark of the night think that maybe they just want us all to die and they don't care. And you're talking about, CDC estimates about 1 million women in the USA alone are engaged in sex work of some kind at any given time. That's a lot of women, and there's men too. So I don't think that, I think my pet peeve is that we are regarded as throwaway people, and that I know thousands, and they're just not. They matter. They matter.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. If I may take a peek at the chat room for a minute, because I don't want the audience to feel as though we were ignoring them, because there's some things I see flashing up here. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. No, let's just go on to the next question. This is my first time using this technology here, and I'm excited. I'm feeling my way around, and I try to find individuals to host the show, and we've had about 50, 60, 75 applications from people who, most of whom, in my opinion, were not suitable. I needed people with great personalities and a bit of understanding about the industry, and funny and witty, and I failed. So I will be the host until we find somebody better. So you're stuck with me, Amy. I'm sorry, but this is what it is. All right, we have someone from Jamaica. Her name is Jennifer, and she wants to know, what is your worst flaw? Wow, that's a woman to ask this question. What is your worst flaw as a companion?
I can be terse, impatient. I probably, you talked earlier about how tough it is to trust after trauma, after, every day I've got to screen so hard to not end up in the room with a murderer. Yes. People, you just deal with a lot of dishonesty. And so I can be a little bit impatient and not give people the length of rope they need. And that's just being in a tough business. It toughens you up. And I sometimes wish I was softer.
But
trying to hang on to my softness.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Hi, Nigel. It's interesting that you have to be like that. You have to not trust. You have to be cautious. And at the same time, you have to go into a level of consciousness where you can be the perfect companion throughout the experience, because that is what they expect. So that takes a lot of skill, and people do not realize. They look at you and probably think, you know what, she's got everything. She has a lovely dog. She has probably a lovely car. She travels the world. She flies airplanes. And, I hate her because she's got it all. They don't seem to realize how difficult it is to work in this industry. And yeah, of course, it can be. I mean, there are lots of fun moments, but I applaud you to be able to operate at this level, because at this level, it takes a lot more out of you to be successful at this level, because it's more demanding. Now, we have a Derek from Manchester in the UK, and Derek wants to know, well, first he's making a statement. He's saying, I would imagine that you have traveled to most major cities around the world. Where else would you like to visit besides Barbados? Besides Barbados.
Indeed, Barbados. I haven't been. I've been to a lot of the Caribbean, but not there. So it's top of my list. I want to go. I've never been to Africa. I've never been to the Middle East, and I've never been to Antarctica. And I don't think Antarctica makes a great date trip because it's sort of snowy and cold and not very romantic, but I might just cart off myself and go look at the penguins one of these days. They have trips down there. And, yeah, Africa, the Middle East, Barbados, top of the list.
Would you prefer to go to those places with one of your clients, or by yourself, or with someone that you choose in your personal life? This is a question for me, by the way.
God help you. You could do better. But thanks. No, I mean, sightseeing in Jerusalem or Egypt with a client would be fantastic. It's hard for people who have a spouse to get away for stuff like that, because what are they doing there on vacation? So usually when you travel with clients, it's a business trip for them, right? It's where they're supposed to be, even if you weren't there. So that would be tough. If somebody was, I have had clients who were single. If they could pull that off and wanted to, dude, sign me up. But I don't have a boyfriend or husband. I gave my life to this world. It was my choice. Nobody made me, but so I don't have a spouse. Maybe I will someday. If anybody wants to date a feisty, angry, retired companion.
Well, if Kirk from London has any say about that. Okay, the next question from Jennifer is, what is your inspiration in this industry?
All the people who bravely stand up, and there have been a lot over the course of history. But even the ones now, I think you are, Charlie. I think anybody who will stick their neck out at great risk, as it has been to you in your life.
Yeah.
I am inspired by brave people. I'm inspired by people who aren't chicken shit. And you, sir, are not a chicken shit.
That's for sure. That is for sure. When I'm in the spotlight and I'm the guest on the show, I'm going to reveal all of it. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Now, I have taken the liberty of posing some questions or writing some questions from myself. And here we go. Now, if you were not an escort, what do you think you would be in your life? What would be most satisfying to you?
I would probably fly more. I am a pilot, but I would be a pilot in bigger planes because I would have spent more time on it. Or I would do what I used to do between college and graduate school. I would be a scientist. I worked in biotech between college and grad school, and I really enjoyed it. It does not pay, but I like science. I'm a geek at heart. So.
Wow. There are many young women watching this now and perhaps in the future. What advice would you give them if they were thinking of getting into the industry as a companion?
Oh, be careful. And if you are still hell-bent on doing this, oh God, don't do. I can't say that, but you've got to do your research, because if you study math, there's a thing called the Poisson distribution. It's things that are unlikely, but incredibly dire if they happen. So lightning strike, plane crash. This business is the Poisson. 99% of people are great, but it takes one mistake and you're gone.
That's
and
right.
That guy will email you. He will. So you have to find a way to be vigilant and smart, or get people around you who are, because this is no joke. This world is no joke.
You know, I have been asked on many interviews, like you have done many interviews, and some people have asked me, so would you advise your children to get involved in this industry? And I said no. I said no. I would try to encourage them not to, but if they were hell bent on becoming an escort or a sex worker or a stripper or whatever, then I would give them the best advice from my experience to make sure that they remain safe and they make as much money as possible. And I would not hold it against them. But my first reaction would be, go learn to fly a plane.
Do you think that's fear talking, right? I would be afraid for them.
Yes.
But
yes, certainly.
Maybe I would be too if they decided to be a crab fisherman. That's dangerous also. I don't know. Or I mean, but right. But you would have their back to the end,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Me too.
And absolutely. What have you learned about yourself from this business, either from men or from other women?
I learned that I value freedom. I learned that I can run a little business of my own. I didn't have any family who were entrepreneurs, so I didn't know that I liked to be entrepreneurial. I learned that I can handle more stigma and shame than I ever thought possible. I learned that I can be strong when I'm terrified. And I learned that I am still a good woman, even though I like to fuck.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, I think you're going to tell me something else after that. Is there something else after that?
This is it. That I'm not evil because I'm okay with my sexuality. That I still deserve to love myself and I deserve to exist.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know that. When I found out I was okay being in the adult industry, it really confused me, because the world tells you you're garbage. And I didn't think I had a right to exist. You know, you think you're crazy or evil or both, because that's what they tell you. And you think you're alone. And I learned
there's something I want to add to that, Amy. And although we are strong and we believe in who we are and we stand, we embrace it, we take it on board, we would love to stand up and tell the world, kiss my ass, I am in this industry, whether you like it or not. You still have to be careful, because you have to learn how to navigate society, particularly in small societies like Barbados, where I'm from and I'm living back here now. You just can't go in and expect that they will carve out a space for you. So you have to be realistic. I can't go and get a job in a bank, an insurance company. I'm sorry. So luckily for me, I've been able to stay the course and be able to find my place and be happy with my place. But one has to be careful in being proud about who you are and what you do. You still have to be careful in certain societies, because they will break you. They will break you, even though in their closets they're more skeletons than yours. They can break you and make it so difficult for you.
Why do you think they want to? I agree with you, but why?
Because in some instances we represent what they would love to do and can't. In some instances, there's a lot of envy in society against people like us, because we had the courage to do what we wanted to do. We stayed the course and we made something of ourselves. And you know how many people fantasize with being a high class companion, but they will never have the balls to do it. And then they envy you or hate you because you have the balls to do it. Forgive me for if I must.
Do you think we make it seem like it's all roses and diamonds, and we have culpability for not showing how it's not always easy, it's not always good. Is that our fault for making it seem too good?
People, this is Greg was just making a comment there. People inherently resent others who believe in themselves regardless. People inherently are jealous of those who can do what they want to do because they can't. They've got regrets in their life because they're doing a job, a 9 to 5 that they hate. They will never change. I don't think they have. There's so many reasons why they hate us, and that is going to be another conversation because I'm going to get very upset in a minute here. I want to let me just go back to these questions before I get all upset. All right.
Misery.
Yeah.
What do they say? Misery loves company, right?
Yes, absolutely. It must. Hold on. Greg has a question. Okay, let me bring you up for one moment, Greg, so everyone can hear your question. Just 1 second. Okay,
Hey.
Greg, there you are. Okay, what is your question, Greg?
So this is to Amy. Let's say you had a friend who was thinking about, going down the same path that you did. What advice would you give to him or her? Like, what would you say? What advice would you give?
Well, so maybe do some benchmarking. Look around at who's successful. Watch how they market. Watch who they are, how they speak, talk, act, look. Benchmark the greats. So you can skip ahead without repeating stupid mistakes. The faster you can get there is the better for you. And then you got to be brutally honest with yourself. This part sucks, and I'm probably gonna. Please don't at me, internet. But you got to improve things about yourself. To target wealthy people, they are discerning and demanding. And if things need improvement, I went to etiquette school. I've had some surgery. I, have a trainer. I mean, any product you sell, service you sell, you reinvest in. So if there are things about you that need to be better, if you're not getting the clients, you're not getting the business, fix what needs to be fixed. And that requires some brutal self-honesty that can hurt, right? I've had a nose job and it still looks like this. And manners. And like I said, etiquette school, I didn't know how to use the right forks and knives to dine in fancy places. I had to learn. It doesn't show, but I did go to etiquette school. It's not showing right now, but I have good manners when I need to. So, yeah, the process
That brings me to a question, Amy. What you just said preempted the question a bit, but I'm still going to ask the question. It must cost a lot of money to look as glamorous as you do.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, give the audience a sense of what's involved in terms of cost to your presence on the internet, your life presence, you're here. Give us a sense of what your budget is like to look that good.
Oh, it's a lot. Basically, my clients are paying into a system that they get it back. So I have a website. It's big and it's a pay site. It's got all kinds of functionality. I've built that over 15 years, but it's a lot of money that went into that. I've got publicists. I've got social media managers. I have a personal trainer. You do get better results with a pro. I could exercise alone, but it's better. I eat really healthy, and that costs more, which is terrible and unfair, but it does. Today I had somebody come do my makeup because she does it better than I can. I can do it myself, but not like she can. You have to have some nice clothes. You have to have good skin. You have to be able to get sleep, which means you can't have 3 difficult jobs. You need time, which is the ultimate luxury, right? So yeah, I don't think you can be a hot chick in LA and look like a hot Los Angeles model. For that alone, it's probably 6 figures a year, probably.
I can imagine.
And then
I
place
can well
ads, marketing, all that costs money.
I can well imagine. Tell me something about your childhood. What was it like growing up wherever you grew up? Your formidable years.
My father was a refugee. He was a Jewish refugee from Hungary. He was born in 1941 when the bombs were falling and the Jews were being exterminated. So he was allowed to move to France, but given no citizenship, he was stateless. And then America let him come to America. He became a professor. He married my mother. He stayed. They're still married. I have one older sister. She's a lobbyist in Sacramento, works in politics.
Wow.
I was a very hyper kid, as you've noticed. I'm a little chatty. I used to run everywhere. I didn't walk, I ran. And a very good family therapist when I was little, instead of putting me on medication, said to my parents that this girl needs to move her body. So put her in ballet and swimming. And I'm a kinesthetic. I need to use my body to be happy. So perhaps I ended up in the adult industry because I'm a bit of a physical person. I always have been. And so I come from a decent family. I'm the weird one. They're normal, if you could say that.
Hello. Same here.
Yeah, you do. Nothing wrong with that. We like the strange. So,
was there anything? Was there anything in your childhood that suggested that you might become part of the adult entertainment industry in the future?
So I didn't have a creepy uncle or anything. I did have a little girlfriend that we played doctor when we were little, but I think that's pretty common. A lot of kids had that. I don't think my experience with my childhood friend was anything out of the ordinary. We used to play with each other. You know, you find this spot that feels good, but neither of us were predators. We were both little kids. I first masturbated very early. Nobody hypersexualized me. I found it and was like, hey, what's this? You know, like you do when you're a kid.
Hello.
Didn't we all? I think we're doing a lot of lying about burgeoning sexuality in kids because we don't want to make pedophilia okay. I don't think we should, but these are awkward conversations that people don't really like to have, so we just don't talk about them. So I lost my virginity at 18. He was older, and I was attracted to his power and wealth. I was in college and he was a doctor, and I did like where I got the kind of gold diggery thing. I don't know. I liked older rich guys. I don't know what that was about. I guess I just liked the nice trips and the stuff. But I also did like them. I thought they were sexy and interesting. And so in college, I dated him. And then when I came down to grad school, I had heard of escorting and looked for an agency to work for. Nobody would hire me because I was cute, but I wasn't Los Angeles cute. And somebody told me I could do this on my own because it's not rocket science and I'm not the dumbest girl. Yeah. So I picked a name, placed some ads, and the rest was history.
Wow. Okay. All right. There's something I want to ask, and I hope it's not too sensitive, but when your relatives found out that you were involved in the industry, what was that conversation like? What was the reaction?
It sucked. My father said, I can't believe people pay that kind of money to hang out with you. You're not that nice.
Okay.
I could have made some comment about the nature of the hanging out, but I didn't want to do that to my father. He's from Europe. He lived in Amsterdam in college. He dated a sex worker. He's very liberal, so it was easier on him. He was not thrilled for his daughter, but he was not so angry. My mother was very mad. She told me I was too old to be doing this, which is funny. Because I was only 32 at the time. She knew nothing. A lot of people think that the companion game is only for 21-year-olds. That's utterly not true. But my sister said, because I got outed because I had a very bad stalker. And my sister said, did you ever think of us? Did you ever consider that the stalker could hurt us to get to you? Because that was happening. They were threatening people I knew. Yeah. And I admittedly, in the naivete of youth, I had not thought of that. And I'm ashamed of that it didn't occur to me the choices I made could have harmed my family. I'm lucky that they didn't, but that was terrifying to me. And I hadn't even considered that because I was just young and stupid.
Your your honesty is so refreshing, and you make it so easy for me to interview you.
Thanks.
I have
like
to
to
say
talk.
that. And no, it's
Likewise.
so it's
Yeah.
really been a pleasure. There's one last question before we bring this episode to an end. We have actually been online for over an hour and a half, believe it or not. Believe it or not, yes. And anyway, well, okay, you talked about the reactions from relatives, and those reactions were not so bad. Who were the ones that had a very negative reaction to your being involved in this industry?
Yeah, my mother still has, she struggles with it. She's a very normal conservative woman and doesn't understand why I didn't just marry that doctor I dated in college. That was available to me. I guess
But
I
that
wanted to have
wasn't
an
so
adventure.
bad. She's a mom. A mom, you can expect that from a mom. That wasn't really bad. I mean, I was imagining that someone else would have been. I mean, bloody hell, people would drag you and lock you in a room for a few days and talk to you, and
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people who would probably still like to. I'm an incorrigible wild woman, I suppose. I just wanted to live freely. I just wanted my freedom. I don't know what that is in me. Some of us have it, right? Some of us are hard to control.
Wow. Well, on that note, we're going to have to bring this episode to a close, but I would like to invite you, Amy, to say in closing anything you would like your audience to know about you, or maybe again your website, your contact details, or in closing.
All of you supporting the AIA, tell a friend if you can, if you're able to, post it, share it. We're human beings. And for some reason, you're interested in this industry, we all consume the products of sex work and adult industry. Everybody's been to a strip club. Everybody's watched a porn. So whatever your place in the adult industry is, and whatever, come out of the closet to any tiny degree you can, because you're making it harder for people to hate us and literally to hurt us. So thanks for watching me. Thanks for supporting AIA. Please do what you can to share it, because it matters. There's millions of us out here.
Thank you very much. Well, since you plugged AIA, I'm going to plug you. I want to thank everyone for supporting Amy. I would like to encourage you to continue to support her. Her website is amytaylor.com. And I want to take this opportunity to say thanks again to Amy and also to Greg for coming on the show and making this pilot episode, in my opinion, a success. I'm happy with it. And I think that I might get the job to do the second episode as the host. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in and giving us your support. We're going to be online again in a few days. We have other people waiting to come on to talk to us about their experiences in the industry. Amy, again, thank you very much. I want you to have a wonderful day, and let's stay in contact. We'll have that private conversation about what else we can do together. I feel so much synergy between us, and I would love to have you more involved and helping us to carve out our path going forward. Greg, thank you very much. We're going to say goodbye for now. There you go. I'm your host, Charlie Spice, saying bye for now. Thank you. We're out.